Let me start by saying that I absolutely do not have all the answers for this, and in no way, shape or form do I feel that I have mastered this. I still massively get it wrong. I got it wrong yesterday with my eldest daughter. So, I'm still figuring this shit out. There are some things that have massively helped me. So let me kind of talk about those and see if that at least gives you some things to think about and a foundation from within which to start thinking about how you will manage things in your own life, okay? So what currently works for me is I get up super early for me anyway. I get up between 4:30 and 5 a.m. Every day. I get up then. So I'm in bed typically by 9:30 at night on the weekdays. It's later on the weekends, of course, but on the weekdays I'm typically in bed by 9:30 at night and awake between 4:30 and 5 a.m. I tend to work until around about 5 p.m., something like that. It sometimes is a little bit longer, but not very often. It's only longer if I'm doing something huge in one of my businesses. But where possible, it's like once a fortnight I'll have to work later than that, but it's not very often. On Saturday and also on Sunday, I still get up at 4:35, much to my lovely long-suffering wife's hilarity. And I typically work a few hours, 3, possibly 4 hours. I'll work until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, something like that. Just making sure shit that's going on in my businesses is cool. So in that respect, you could say that I work 7 days, but it doesn't feel like I do because I'm doing stuff that I really, really love to do. I don't know how you feel about that, but that's just kind of what works for me. The thing that's been the biggest thing for me and the biggest change I've had to make is in outsourcing things. Like I was talking about this with Tash on Friday. We've actually got a fairly big team now that work within the greater businesses that I own. It's like 51, 52 people, something like that. Not all full-time, of course. We do have full-time people, but we've got a lot of full-time, part-time who work X number of hours per week, and that's what they always do for us. So I've had to become extremely good at outsourcing things and trusting people to do the stuff that I task them to do. That's been pretty difficult for me, if I'm really, really honest. Mostly because I really, really want to do a good job of everything that I do. And so letting go of things has proven to be a lot harder than I thought it would be. When I used to have the restaurants, I used to be a restaurateur. When I used to have the restaurants, you've kind of got to get used to outsourcing shit and having your team members do that. But in a restaurant, you're all in the same building. You're all in the same building. You can see what your cooks are doing. You can see what your waiting staff are doing. And if they're not doing something right, you can see at the point when they're not doing it right and go and help them to do it right. Okay, so it's a much more interactive dynamic, and you've only got one building where everybody is to manage versus where your team is disparate and outsourced. I can't be with my team in the Philippines. I can't be with my team who are in the USA, who are in Czechoslovakia, for instance. I can't be with those people. So you've got to trust them more to do the work. So what I've come to realize with that is that if they can do it 80% as well as I can do it, then I'm golden with that. And oftentimes, they do it better than I can do it. So that's certainly the case with many, many things. And then one thing I will absolutely say to you, like Mert asked me a question the other day, how would you go about building a business to sell it? And the big thing about that is anytime you find yourself doing the same task more than once, so the second time you do that task, you've got to ask yourself, can I systemize this? can I outsource it? Can I systemize it? Can I outsource it? Because that is where you will find you will very, very quickly become the block in your business if you don't. What else with regards to managing our time? So that, because of that, that's freed up a heap of my own personal time that I can then use for other things, new projects, growing my business, working on my business instead of in my business, which is a really important thing to do. You guys know already that every Friday night, Natasha and I go out on a date night. That has been massively important. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs I see get waylaid because their relationship with their spouse is suffering because they haven't managed it properly. The relationship you have with your spouse is everything. And if that's not good, it's incredibly difficult to build anything, not just a business, but anything on top of that. That has to come first. And so because of that, we have a date night. Natasha's busy doing stuff. I'm busy doing stuff. I know it's the same in your life as well. You've got to prioritize it. You've got to at least once a week go together and go and do something together where you're adults, where you talk about stuff, you laugh together, you have a few drinks together. You know the dealio. You go and have a shag at night, stuff like that. You've got to do that stuff. It's super important. And then with my two daughters, and again, I don't profess to be the expert on this. I know that there's just some things that I've learnt about it that's been hard-won things. And I guess the biggest of that is 30 minutes a day of super active listening and being massively present with my daughters is worth 3 or 4 hours a day where we're just kind of in the same room, watching TV together, eating dinner together. But it's easily worth that. So 30 minutes where you are actively engaged, 100% focused on your kids, listening to them, talking to them. It doesn't actually take much time, but the difference it will make will be ginormous. It's a small amount of time where you're hyper-focused, but the payoff is massive. It's absolutely massive. And then I read my daughter a story every night. My youngest daughter, Charlotte, not my oldest daughter. My youngest daughter, Charlotte, I read her a story every night as well. And that's been kind of cool too. And then the other thing that I've noticed as well, it's just tiny little things like kissing them and hugging them. It's super important. As a bloke, we don't think about that very much. But for them, for your kids, it's massively important. Also for my wife as well, that's super important. So, and the other thing as well, with working hard, that I found makes a big, big difference. Because the girls know that I work very, very hard. And even though I'm in the same house as they are, in my home office, they know not to come and disturb me unless it's something massively important. And so what we've done with them is we involve them in our goals. And that's been super, super cool to do. We resisted doing it for a long, long time, but now we actively sit down with them, involve them in our goals so that they understand that Daddy's not just working for the sake of working. We're actively working on creating a better life for ourselves, and here's what that better life looks like. Here's why that's going to be so cool for you. And they're enrolled in our goals too. They're enrolled in what we want to do with our lives. And I think that's a really cool thing to do for your kids, regardless of anything else. But as far as your question, Hayden, what I found is it gives them meaning and context to my relationship with them. So they go, sure, Daddy's not here right now, but what Daddy's doing is this, and he's doing that for this, and here's why. And so they've got a framework. They don't think Daddy's not there because he doesn't want to be with them. They know that I'm not there for other reasons. And again, I am not an expert on this. This is just some things that we do that have made a massive difference to that. Outsourcing, date nights, kisses and hugs, active listening, and involving them in our lives. We talk about finances with them, treating them like adults. That's been hugely important. Hope that helps. But the listening thing is massive. That's really, it is shocking how little people listen to each other. Most folks just wait for their turn to talk, and the second that instead you sit there and just be really present with them, you'd be amazed. I mean, our kids tell us all sorts of stuff. It's just insane. And so, yeah, again, I'm no expert, but that's what I found really makes a difference. So I love to work. I'm not one of those blokes that wants to sit around, I've been retired before. We retired in my 30s to Monaco. We used to live in Monaco. I retired. It was so friggin' boring. I can't begin to tell you how boring it was. And so I don't want that. I like working. I love working. I love making a difference. And so... Hey, thanks so much for watching that video, and I hope that you got some massive value from it. Before you go, do you live in Australia? If you do, this is for you. Would you like to learn how to sell things on Amazon here in Australia? Would you like to know what sells really well and what sells for the maximum amount of profit? Would you like to know where you can source those products from, whether that be in China or here in Australia, and how to source them so you pay bottom dollar and get maximum value for what you're doing? If you do, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and you'll learn that and much more. It's the exact same information that people like Jeff from New South Wales have used to make $45,000 a month on Amazon, that Sue, who's from the sunny coast, has used to purchase herself a brand spankly BMW every single year as a result of her e-commerce business, and the lovely Kate from Bowral in New South Wales has used to make $32,000 a year on, a month, not a year, a month on Amazon, and indeed Anthony, who makes $15,000 a month on Amazon, selling, as he puts it, odds and sods. If you'd like to learn the exact same information that they use to maximize their profits for their Amazon businesses, subscribe to this video, like my channel, post below if you want me to teach you something. Okay, I'm out of here. Speak to you soon. Bye. Subscribe. Do it now.